Hi, welcome back. I'm Samm Bamm. I wanted to show you everything I've made since the beginning of this year. There's one thing I do not have. It was a blanket I made for a baby shower. I can see if I have a photo of it. I don't think I have a full photo of it. My bad. It was just a very simple white, cream-ish white ivory and sage green checkers with a little scallop. It was pretty simple. I only knew about the baby shower like 3 weeks in advance, so I got to it really quickly and finished it. So maybe spent like a week on it or so, but I've got plenty of other things to show. The beginning of January was working on an exchange on my Etsy shop. I had a customer order this scarf, and probably a Christmas gift since it was ordered middle of December. This is an adult size, and I believe the customer had said that it was for her teenage daughter that's very petite in size and that the neck hole was too big. So I whipped it up and sent her the new one. This is the one she exchanged. This is the original one. I do not have the one I sent out, but that's smaller, but this is the adult size. And so I'm going to keep this one. I wore it to the baby shower I was just talking about, and I got a lot of compliments on it. And I really do love it. I did have to track down the yarn for it. I used 2 strands, one of a gray and then one of this ombre. It is a red heart bitty stripes. I believe it's mermaid. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it is one of the bitty stripes. One of the stripes. I believe it's a bitty stripe, but I want to say it's mermaid. I don't know off the top of my head. I had gotten it when just before Joanne went out of business, and tracking it down was fairly easy, but like the cost, it hurt my soul compared to what I had gotten it previously. And then with that order, she had gotten 2 of my scarves, and this one is a wild oleander hooded scarf, and this one was also too large for her daughter. It's got lovely fringe at the bottom. And so I had made 2 versions of it. I had done this one in a hook size smaller to see versus what the next size down was, which I believe was like the adolescent size instead of the adult. I did send her the adolescent size, and then I made this one just a cropped scarf, so it's not a hooded like this version. So now I have 2 of these. This one just doesn't have fringe. I'm not sure if I'm going to add fringe or not. If I do add fringe, I only have this burnt pumpkin orange and the mustard left. I don't have any more of this ivory, so I wouldn't be able to alternate the fringe like I did on this one. So I might just do like solid orange fringe on this one. I'll throw this one on. I believe this is going to be like a child size. Um, Definitely a child size for this one, but this one's an adult. It still even has my tag. I'm also going to keep this one. I'm going to keep it because I'm not quite sure if I want to wash it and all that jazz to resell it. But the smaller child size one, that'll be fine. Another thing, now I don't really know where the rest of January went. I finished this sweater, and oh my gosh, it's adorable. It is a Karen macchiato cake in Vivid Violet. It's a weight 5, so I used a 5.5 millimeter hook. And it's just a V-stitch. And here's the bottom. I really love how the colors worked up. And it's adorable, and it's so cozy because it's got a little bit of a wool mix with the acrylic. So it's super warm, even with the holes of the V-stitch. And that was just a free-handed pattern. I didn't look anything up. And I just kind of came up with it and winged it. I made another version of it with a weight 3 yarn, which I'll show later on. Hi, kitty. Meow. In January, it got very cold and my feet were very cold, so I started making socks. I've got these checkered socks. I like these. I like wearing them over the socks, my normal socks. They're thicker. I use a weight 4, just what I had laying around. I like these because they keep my feet a little bit warmer. I don't have to worry about taking my slippers on and off. I can just keep these on under my blankets when I curl up and things like that. So this is the first pair I made. And this is the second pair I made. And now these ones I've worn quite a few times. I've thrown them in the wash a few times. And they're, you know, they're from the same family, but they're different because this was a limited time Joanne yarn. And I only had a little bit of it, so I'll never be able to recreate these, and they're so soft. And these ones will soften up as I wash them and wear them too. I made them in a Karen macchiato cake. I believe this is the grapefruit color. This is also what I had left over. I made a hat, which I didn't finish until February because I had to weave in ends and things like that. So it's kind of not quite in order. And then I tested out the socks using a granny stitch with some scrap I had. And so they're definitely a lot more bulkier, but still super fun. It's just kind of like how they give a nice pop on like the cozy cold days when you're trying to stay cozy and warm. I also had leftover of the Karen macchiato cake to make gloves. This is a glove pattern I've made before. I did one as a Christmas gift, and I don't know what happened, but like this is so tiny. It's like it's a kid size. Whereas the first time I made it as a Christmas gift, it turned out perfectly. But that was a yarn that was more of a 4 or 5 weight. And this says it's a 5 weight, but like the grapefruit was definitely thinner than the violet. And they're both Karen macchiato cakes. So there's just a little bit of discrepancy with that. So I did test out this pattern again, which I'll show you, I'll get to soon, where I just altered it and I made it a little wider in here and in the thumbs. Yeah, otherwise the pattern is super cool. It is, I'll put it up on the screen and tag it below. And another thing I finally got around to was I weaved in all the ends of my book blanket from 2025. I stitched them together. So I didn't make any of these squares this year, but I did a bajillion ends. And then I seamed them together and I put a border on my book blanket. There is 80 squares. And I only did books that I read once. There is a few books I reread. I think I reread Iron Flame, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. I think I reread them 3 or 4 times. I also, in this year, I rediscovered my love for reading. It's been years. Like, I haven't read since like high school. I didn't have time in college to read. When I was working, I didn't have time to read. So I was home with my son. Rediscovering reading was amazing. I read all of the Sarah J. Maas and then I reread it. If you count my rereads, I had read over 100 books, but I read a good chunk of The Cosmere by Brandon Sanderson. I didn't get back with Stormlight Archive. I had read the first 4 books, but then I didn't finish Wind and Truth until this year. So that Wind and Truth is not in here. And I was kind of going back and forth, like, do I do it by book series? Do I do it by author? Do I just do it randomly? Do I do it in order that I read them? Because I was like, if I wait for a series to be completed, this thing will never be done. But also, it's a lot of books. And then, so like, I'm almost ashamed to say this, I read the Zodiac Academy, and I read one of the other series that go along with it. What is it? What is it called? Anyways, I can't remember what it's called. I read the prequel series of Zodiac Academy. I do have to say I really enjoyed Zodiac Academy. I did find myself saying, like, to myself, like, stop messing around, let's get back to the plot. And the prequel series was a lot more messing around, and I was like, I didn't enjoy it as much, and so I did not read the series that follows afterwards that deals with the prison or penitentiary or whatever it is. And I don't know if I'm going to go back and revisit it, but I remember, like, the jokes and the banter and the plot was just so random that I wanted more of that than their fooling around, if that makes sense. Like, their jokes and their funniness was great, but I'm kind of embarrassed to be sharing this on the internet. There's so many good book series I read this last year. I read Red Rising. Quicksilver. I didn't like Brimstone as much. I think that's what a lot of people had said. I didn't like it either. But yes, this thing is huge. I'm currently rereading Harry Potter. This couple weeks ago, my best friend, her and I are big Harry Potter buffs, and we had rewatched all of the movies. You know, in like the 20 years we've been friends, we've never sat down and had watched like all of the movies together. So it was really fun, and her and I could just like sit and like discuss theories through all 8 movies. And yes, we did. We started Friday after work, and we finished by mid-afternoon on Sunday because she still wanted to go do other things and see her family. So like we accomplished all 8 movies. I only took like a 5-minute nap, I promise. In which it was during book 5, you know, the Order of the Phoenix. So like Order of the Phoenix is kind of boring. But this is it still folded in half. It's gigantic. I will have a clip unrolling it and showing it off and how massive this blanket is, and I'm so excited to use it. And this is getting out of order, so I apologize because some of these I started back in January and I didn't finish until more recently. I've always wanted to learn how to knit. I got knitting needles last summer, springtime, but I never finished anything, and there was a really popular pattern going around in January from the Twin Cities area, so I was intrigued. I bought this pattern and I made it. It's not that great, but there it is. I was intrigued because it was going to help a good cause, and being a beginner, it was a good place to start. So with that, I knitted another hat. And this is more of just a basic this one did end up looking much better. My stitches are a little more uniform. I have learned that I'm twisting my stitches. I'm figuring out, learning how to correct that, but pretty pleased with that. But I had to take a break on knitting for a little bit because my hands were beginning to hurt. And then I have this Karen Macchiato cake. So the gloves, the socks, and this hat was all made out of the one ball of Karen Macchiato. She's cute. I like her. Put a little pom-pom on there. There's another one. Oh, this is what was left over of the violet macchiato. I did make this pom-pom. I didn't have any more pom-poms. I used my other one on another hat I had also made, and this was that red heart stripes. She's cute. I do wish I had. I'm not sure how you like this pink pom-pom. I may take it off, remake it, reuse the pom-pom for something else, but regardless, here it is. I believe that's all the hats I have. Then I made another wild oleander scarf. This doesn't, it's not the hood because the hood would be longer. Yes, so I really enjoy these mittens. They're so much fun. They're so bright. These are the same mitten patterns. I just altered it and I made it a little wider. Just because I had problems with the second pair I made. The first pair I didn't. I don't know what happened in between. I think it was just the yarn choice. And then I had some leftover yarn from that ball still, and I was able to get the earmuffs out, the little swirl, and a pair of fingerless gloves. Whoa, nope. We'll get there. I have my watch on, so this makes it a little harder. I'll put it on my other hand, where my watch isn't. It isn't in the way. Super fun. So I like mix and match. A little moment there. I did make another granny style tote. Halfway through this, I realized that this is my own pattern, and I used the wrong hook size. So in the pattern I designed, mind you, uses a 5.5 millimeter hook, and I used a 5 millimeter hook, so it's a little bit smaller than normal. What I liked about this one was that it's got an oval bottom to be more reminiscent of a standard tote. And I love them. I use them all year round, like a lot in the summer. And I use cotton, so it gives it more durability. See, it's got a little bit of a stretch to it, but nothing compared to like acrylic wood. And that significantly helps with the straps. And this one was just a random stripe. And I really like how it came out. It's this was a like spring stripe by Crafter Secret Yarn at Hobby Lobby. And then I made a bandana. And it's got this pretty little flower pattern. I'm in the middle of working on the pattern for this, so hopefully it will be out soon. But I just don't think bandanas look very good on me, but it's got a fun little flower detail to it, so not too hard. And I got back into knitting because I've been in a knitting itch, and now that I'm starting to get the groove of it, and I made a pair of little shorty knit socks. And I like how the stripes don't align, but they're like, they look the same, but they're different. And they're so warm. I've been dying to wear these, but I've wanted to show them to you guys before I got them really gnarly. So, and I didn't follow a pattern for this. I looked up how to do the heel, and I just kind of winged it. With the leftover yarn I had from that, I knitted a pair of mittens because I wanted to see how a pair of knitted mittens would go. And I'm like shocked because I love this pattern from Hobby Lobby in Nova Scotian Skies, I believe is what the name was. And I really love this color. This is Tin Can Knits pattern for the simple, easy mittens, quick mittens. And again, I like how they're cousins, you know, like, and I'm still twisting my stitches in this pattern too. But now I have my own pair of mittens that I can wear, and I love. I'm a very big like blue and green girly. And then just like that purple sweater I made, I said I made it in a weight 3. This was the Bernat Baby Sport. I started with what I had on hand. So what I had a ball, and it made it to about right here. You can see the distinction line with the 2 different lots, but this is for me, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to keep this one for myself. But the stitches are a little smaller. I used a 4mm hook, and it's a weight 3 yarn, whereas the other one was a 5.5mm hook and a weight 5 yarn. It's adorable. Yeah, and like the different dye lots, like the bottom, so much of a softer, whiter yarn, where this is more of a cream, stiffer yarn. And it's the same yarn. Blows my mind, but I've had this one laying around for a little over a year, so what can you do? So that is everything I made thus far this year of 2026. I hope I got my background, and I'm really hoping to get some of the things I have listed on Etsy. I was struggling with where to take photos, and then I was spending a lot of time editing out backgrounds because I wasn't happy with it. In this way, that solves less editing, probably no editing besides maybe cropping the photo. And now I have like a designated place to take photos. I plan to get more things on my Etsy, update my current existing listings, which is pretty sparse right now, and just kind of revamp that. I also want to take you guys along with me as still very much a very new business owner, exploring all of these different things. I've started to think like maybe I just need to take it a little bit at a time. I don't need to be doing a million different things at once. Just focus on a couple things and gradually incorporate more things into the mix. So that's how we're going to do that. And I hope you guys got some inspiration from this. If you enjoyed this, let me know. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.